So, what is your name?
John Horner,
What branch of the military did you serve in?
United States Army.
What was your reason for going to the military?
I was a young man in a small town, and it was an opportunity to go out, start life, and see the world.
All right, those are really good answers.
My name is Gary Lane, and I was in the Army.
What is the reason of you joining the military, or were you drafted?
I was drafted.
Hi, my name is Chris Pyfo, and I joined the Iowa Air National Guard Intelligence, Surveillance, and Reconnaissance Group to support the United States Constitution as well as support and defend the state of Iowa.
My name is Jason Hughes.
What made you decide to join the military?
I wanted to serve my country and become a soldier.
What branch were you in?
I was in the Iowa Army National Guard.
What did you do in the Army?
I was a combat medic, which is kind of like a person that rides on an ambulance.
My name is Eric White. I served in the United States Marine Corps. My reason for joining the military was I wanted to get some training and serve my country.
My name is Cody Beck.
What branch of the military are you in?
I am in the Army Reserves.
My name is Mr. Kruger. I am currently a member of the U.S. Coast Guard Reserve. I joined the Coast Guard 9 years ago because I was in interpreter school at the time, and I was hoping that being a reservist would help me pay for it.
Hi, my name is Rhonda Fletcher, and I was in the United States Navy. I followed in the footsteps of my father and his 5 brothers.
My name is Rick Stelzer. I was drafted for the U.S. Army in October of 1967. And after being in the weapons center, going through the orientation, I opted to sign up for an additional year as a muscle person for a 3-year term.
Hello, I'm David Eisminger, Jordan Eisminger's dad, and I spent 24 years in the military, 8 years in the Marine Corps, and 16 years in the Army, and I went in the service to make a difference.
Hi, what is your name?
Allie Miller.
What branch did you serve?
The Army National Guard.
What was your reasoning for joining?
Because I wanted to be a part of something bigger than myself.
Thank you.
What is your name?
My name is Thomas Heck.
What branch of the military are you serving in?
I am in the Iowa Army National Guard.
What's the reason you joined the military, or were you drafted?
I joined the military in 2000, and I joined because one of my buddies had joined prior to me and told me how much fun he had when he was at basic training. So I wanted to challenge myself to do the same thing he did.
Okay, so I chose my dad for the veteran interview. So first, what is your name? Tell everyone your name.
I am Captain Tyler Bauman, retired.
What made you decide to join the military?
Well, I joined when I was 17 and in high school, and it was before 9/11. And so 9/11 happened, and a lot of patriotism, so a lot of excitement to serve.
Mm-hmm. What branch did you join?
I was in the.
Your name and what branch of the military did you or are currently serving?
So my name is Captain Emmanuel Bempa, and I'm currently serving with the Iowa Army National Guard. I've always wanted to serve, and I came to this country 20 years ago, and I was, educated here. So joining the military was part of giving back to the community as a way to say thank you for educating me.
My name is Ben Vance, and I serve in the Iowa Army National Guard.
What was your reason in joining the military, or were you drafted?
I first joined right out of high school for the college money.
What was the biggest lesson you learned in the military?
The biggest lesson I learned was leadership and how to lead soldiers in that scenario, but also in civilians, and setting the right example for those to follow.
The biggest lesson that the military has taught me has been about leadership. Not really leading other people so much as taking leadership of myself. Because in school, you have teachers to guide you. And in the military, you have bosses, you have a chain of command. But you are largely responsible for making sure that your experience in the military is the way you want it to be. If you want to go up a rank, you have to study. You have to take the test. Other people are not going to teach you. So the military has taught me about taking the lead for myself.
While I was in the U.S. Navy, I learned teamwork, discipline, and multitasking.
The biggest lesson is always be ready, because you don't know when you're going to be called to duty or anything like that. So I say always be ready, and part of being ready, or part of the readiness, also comes with discipline. Because if you are not disciplined, you're never ever going to be ready.
Patience really is a virtue. There's a lot of things that we do where we spend a lot of our time waiting to accomplish whatever it is that we need to accomplish, or waiting for a ride somewhere, waiting for our command to get back to us on something. And so just being able to be patient, I think, is probably the biggest lesson I've learned since I joined.
The biggest lesson that I learned while being in the military was learning the value of hard work to achieve the goals that you want to achieve.
It doesn't matter whether you're white, brown, blue, Asian, Korean, American. When you come together, you have to work as a team to get things done. It doesn't matter if you don't like the person next to you. When there's something to be done, everybody has to do their part, and that's the beauty of it, is everybody coming together and doing their part to accomplish the mission.
One of the lessons that I learned in the military was the difference between leadership and management. The leaders who I respected the most were the ones who worked with you without having to demand that you do what you had to do. The command responsibilities that they have as officers and leaders of the military are what gets everything done, and it certainly is a discipline that you learn very quickly in the first 8 weeks of military service in the Army.
The biggest lesson that I learned is discipline. The reason that I say that is when I was a kid, I was a little bit wild and crazy, and the military taught me how to be a little more respectful to people and a little bit more disciplined. So I would listen to things when people talked to me, and I would do what I was told when I was told to do them. So I would say discipline.
All right. So what was your biggest lesson that you learned in the military?
Well, I learned to work with a variety of people, from all walks of life, from different parts of the country, and how to work as a team, and how to be responsible for myself, and take care of the things that had to be taken care of as part of a team.
I think that's a really good answer.
Probably the biggest lesson I've learned has been teamwork and working with others.
I think the biggest thing that I've learned is that we live in the greatest country in the world, and that we shouldn't take our freedoms for granted.
I have learned to survive without basic needs, and I also learned how to take a nap in 0.5 seconds.
All right. So, for those who have served before you, what would you say to those veterans?
Well, I would say the same thing I would expect anybody else to say to these veterans. Thank you for your service and your sacrifice, and also thank their families, because they sacrificed too.
All right. That was the last question. Thank you for doing this interview.
Very enjoyable interview.
I would start off by saying thank you for your service, and thank you for the sacrifices that you've made. Without them, I wouldn't be able to serve myself, and I wouldn't be able to live my life the way that I do. And so I would really just want to say thank you for everything that you've done.
I want to say thank you and God bless to every veteran and every active duty member of the military. Thank you.
Were there any soldiers, like any parents or uncles or aunts that served in the military before you?
Yep, I had 2 uncles that served before me, one in Vietnam and one in peacetime.
What would you say to those veterans?
Thank you for your service and setting the example for me to follow.
All jobs require some level of sacrifice. You have to do things that you don't want to do when you don't want to do them. But the military is rather special in that the level of sacrifice that you have to do is much higher. You will sacrifice your safety sometimes. Some people sacrifice their lives. Everyone sacrifices their time, some people for months or years at a time that they could be spending with their family. Both of my parents were in the military when I was a kid, and that involved time apart. But they made the sacrifice for the country and for me, and so to them and to all other veterans who have sacrificed, I want to say thank you.
To the veterans that served before me, I would say thank you for setting the bar high, and thank you for your contribution in freedom.
To the veterans that have served before me, I would say thank you from the bottom of my heart for serving our country and helping to keep our country free. I know from experience that I missed 3 years of my children's lives being overseas in a war zone, and even though I'm 100% disabled now, I think that they had it a lot worse than I did, and I know the sacrifices that they made.
For those that have served before you, what would you say to them?
I would say thank you for your service and sacrifice.
Well, being a veteran and having served in the military for 7 years, you learn very quickly that the veterans that served before you sacrificed a lot for our country.
I would say thank you for your service and sacrifice to our country.
Personally, what I do if I see somebody who I know is a veteran, or they're wearing like a veteran hat, like a veteran of the Korean War or World War II or Vietnam, I go out of my way to go up and shake their hand and tell them thank you. And I also tell them thank you for paving the way for us soldiers who are coming through the ranks now.
I would say that to be proud of what you've done and what you've helped in the world of this today.
Those that pave way for me, what I'll tell them is thank you for their service and thank you for all what they've done for the country.
First, I would say thank you for your sacrifice. And I would also say thank you for setting the groundwork and setting the foundation for generations of military members to come.